Hi everyone, my name is Marco Seiferle-Valencia and I'm the Open Education Librarian here at the University of Idaho Library. I'm here to introduce you to some of our distance learning resources via this brief presentation. You can always get in touch with me, marcosb@uidaho.edu, with any library-related questions you may have. That can include finding sources, wondering why something's not working as expected, or even coming up with research topics and ideas. The goals of this presentation are to orient you to the resources available from the U of I library, to have this presentation as something you can refer to later, and to help you feel confident and inspired to take on your research career at the U of I. At this URL, you'll be able to access this presentation if you'd like to follow along, refer to it later, or click on any of the links in it to help you in your research. To get started, you might want to check out our Education Distance Learning LibGuide. This is a handy guide that we've created that actually puts together a bunch of the information that might be useful for you as a distance student. It has a lot of links consolidated into it, especially for things like finding articles and getting started finding things on your particular subject. I hope you'll check this out, as I think there's a lot of great resources on here. In particular, this link of article databases on the front page might be helpful to you. Summit and interlibrary loan are ways that you can get materials that we don't hear of here at the library. I go into depth in a separate video on how to use those two systems, but basically the thing to know is that we can always get you materials even if we don't have them here in the library. It just takes a little bit of extra time. Things that are in our Summit Regional Borrowing Partnership arrive to the library in 3 to 5 days and then are shipped to you as a distance student, and in a library loan it's about 5 to 7 days and then ship time. It's also important to remember that Summit and interlibrary loan can be used to request materials that aren't books. Articles are also available for Summit and interlibrary loan. To request those, you follow the same procedure as requesting a book, but you will just be using it for an article. In general, the arrival speeds for articles will be much faster than what's listed here, as we can usually get those for you from our partners in 2 to 3 days. If you haven't had anything shipped to you before, you may not know that items will be shipped to you for free from the library. If it's your first time doing it, you should contact the library to confirm your shipping address and shipping preferences. Items are shipped to you for free and include a paid return shipping label. If you'd like more information on that, you can click on this link to actually access our lib guide on receiving and returning print materials. Another resource that might be useful to you as a distance student is the University of Idaho VPN. A VPN is a virtual private network, which basically means that you're creating a connection with a computer on the university campus. The advantage of doing this is that it enables you to access campus-only resources. To do it, you need to request an account first, and then you follow these instructions for logging in. I'm just giving you a little kind of preview of this. There's really great instructions provided on by ITS on this how to request an account page, but it can be a little confusing. So you need to use your Duo ID code, which is a little token that you'll actually get off of your Duo ID authenticator that you use for other university login systems, and you use your regular single sign-on password, comma, and then that Duo code. If you have any questions, click on those links and follow through. There's a lot of great directions there, and you can also get in touch with me if you have any trouble using this system. Most of the time, you don't need to use the remote access to access library resources on campus. Just logging into your library account is sufficient. But if you are having any trouble, this can be a good resource to check out to make sure that you're getting the best access to resources possible. When it comes to finding resources, there's a lot of different ways to search. Something that'll help you no matter where you're searching are to use Boolean operators. So Boolean operators are basically the special characters that we can give to databases, and when we do it, it affects and filters the results. So for instance, the words and or not are what are called Boolean operators. These combine concepts and keywords together in particular ways. So for instance, in this sheet here, you can see how and can be used to find different synonyms. You can use or to also find different synonyms or related concepts, and you can use not to exclude results that you do not want from a search. Similarly, search modifiers like quotation marks, asterisks, and parentheses do different things. Quotations ask for that specific result only, including any typos, so make sure you have things spelled correctly. Asterisk function is a wildcard, and parentheses/brackets allow you to join searches together. So think of when you were building equations as a middle schooler working on math. These can be a bit confusing if you haven't used them before, so check out this cheat sheet. It can be very helpful. Or if you're more of a audio and visual learner, check out these helpful videos about Boolean. I really recommend doing this. It can really help to improve your searching results. If you haven't added Google Scholar to your U of I account, please make sure to follow the link on this to watch the short video I made for you all on doing that. That is very important to make sure that when you're searching in Google Scholar, you're actually getting the results that are connected to your U of I credentials and account. Otherwise, it'll ask you to buy articles and things, which you should never be doing because we pay for a lot of those things for you. Let's actually do a little bit of searching together for an article now and see what we can find. There's a lot of different ways to search for articles in the U of I library. So you can start searching in the library catalog. So let's try searching education and diversity. When I do this, by default, it automatically searches the widest breadth of resources possible. So it searches for books in the library, it searches for books that are Summit partners, and it also searches for journals and databases with this title. Now, if we want to actually only see particular peer-reviewed articles, then we can use some of these filter results to actually filter things down. So first, I'm going to suggest that you filter to peer-reviewed journals unless you have a reason that you specifically are not interested in peer-reviewed journals. That is the best standard for scholarly research. And then you might also actually want to scroll down a little bit further and click article type and actually specify article. Now that I've done this, we are searching inside our different databases for articles, and you can actually start to see different results. So this is a great way to do a broad search where you can search in many databases at once for your topic. This can be really good at the start of a search as you're trying to refine your terminology to search under. And it can also be a way to make sure that if you've worked really heavily in one database, that you're consulting others to see what's out there. Now let's say that you're interested in a different kind of search strategy where you're already using an education database. Maybe you're not very familiar with education databases. There's a couple of ways to go about accessing them. So first, if you know the name of the database, like say your professor says to look in ERIC, you can click on Database A to Z and actually get this scroll down list. ERIC is a very popular and significant education database, so you could click here, go, and then actually start that process of getting logged into ERIC. Now I say start the process because in general it works just like it did there where it pulls up, but sometimes it will give you a little reload message and you may need to actually manually select the ERIC database. So don't get confused if you encounter a list like this. Basically it's just showing you that EBSCOhost keeps all of these databases in journal collections. You may be interested in searching on one in particular, or you may, for instance, recognize other education-related databases and journals that might be relevant to you here, like, for instance, the Teacher Research Center. So if at any point when you're trying to use these EBSCO resources, you're a little confused, make sure that you're searching in the correct database and remember that you can add and modify that. So I just showed you one path to get here, which is if you know by title. But let's say that you're new to your discipline or you're new to this type of research, then you might need to have a little bit more guidance. This is where something like clicking on the Articles tab can be really helpful as we have databases sorted by subject. The nice thing about this is that we have lists of database by discipline, and then we also include brief summaries of what they are. So here we're looking at the education, curriculum, and instruction databases, and you can actually look through and see the 36 or so that we have selected here. You can get a little information about what's in each of them, as well as then a link to actually go through and search in that database. So let's actually connect to ERIC like we were discussing and take a look at what a result looks like in there. You might remember from the library search page that we searched education and diversity. We got a big range of results. Now we're searching that same topic, but we're only looking in ERIC. It's much fewer results. On the library page we had about 500,000. This is about 30,000. Still, 30,000 is a lot to read, and you're probably trying to get more specific information than 30,000 articles worth. So I suggest, again, using the facets to refine your results. Publication date is pretty important. By default, these databases will give you a huge range, but generally you're probably going to be interested in things that are more contemporary than what it defaults to. Once it's done this, then you can actually start reading through and browsing your results. I often hear from students that they're overwhelmed by the prospect of reading an entire article to know if it's relevant to their research. That's a very valid concern and makes sense, and that's why you really want to rely on some of these information that's provided along something that you're looking at. So let's click on this title. We can actually look at descriptors. The abstract is especially important. The abstract is designed for you to be able to read that and know if you can use the article. You can also then use these different terms to improve your search results, either here or in this catalog. So you can, for instance, click and see other things that have been labeled student diversity, or you can use those terms and actually take them back into the library database and, for instance, search student diversity and then limit to articles and peer-reviewed like we did before. So this is obviously just a brief taste of doing research in education. If you would like more information, I suggest you check out the Education Distance LibGuide that we talked about earlier. The front page in particular, the introduction, contains a lot of really great information about solid databases that you might want to start doing education research in, as well as some links to some video tutorials. These are a little out of date. I'm working on replacing them right now. But I'm going to go ahead and leave them up because they do still have good information about the search strategy. So don't be thrown off if by the interface looking a little bit different on the library website. That's just something that we've successfully gone and migrated, and so things look a little different. So with that in mind, let's talk about one last thing that can help supercharge your research, which is citation management. Citation managers store your database results as you find things and then put them into a little personal database on your computer that you can use to create bibliographies and references. So for a screenshot example, you can see here an example collection that I've made where this was the topic of a conference presentation I was giving, and these were the articles that I was saving to inform my work. As I worked on them, I was able to click and add them in my browser, which I'll show you in just a moment. And so I've now easily saved these resources. I can say create a bibliography, I can specify the citation style, and then I will actually have that as something I can copy and paste into a Word document. If you're not already using a citation manager, I really recommend doing it. It's something that can help you a lot to make your research life a lot easier. And just to show you what I was talking about with the citation saving in the browser, let's pretend that this was a good article for us. This is the way I could do it. With that Zotero link in, I can actually just click this button and it'll save it and add it to a collection. It's asking me here to make sure I have Zotero open. Zotero is a free program that you can download. There's great instructions on all of the links that I have for you there, but basically it's just a citation manager. You can use different ones like Mendeley or EndNote if you prefer. So the links to work with all of those are here. This is the button that will actually take you to the page where you can get that little browser add-in that I showed you. And this is a link that'll take you to a page that shows you how to actually integrate it with Word if you like to use the built-in citations that come with Word, the built-in citation manager, excuse me. Finally, just a few other things that might be helpful to you. One tab is a link manager that allows you to collapse and save a bunch of links at once. So for instance, I have it installed here. And now that I've done this, I can click and save this, and it'll actually give me a saved link menu of all the tabs that I had open. I can restore it, or I can share it as a web page. So this can be a handy way to just keep your research manageable. Similarly, Trello board is a project management tool that might be interesting to you to kind of keep all of your research organized. It's basically like an online sticky note system for managing things. If you need any help, we have quite a few ways to get help from the library. I already showed you the library website, but just to quickly remind you, you can use Ask Us to get help from chat, calling, email, or text. Chat is available whenever a reference librarian is available. You may also see a chat help window pop up from time to time as you're browsing the library website offering you help as you search. You can also email, call, or text us, and you also have my contact information so you can get in touch with me specifically. Finally, I like to mention for folks that you might be interested to know about accessing peer review articles after graduation. Lily is a service offered for Idaho residents that provides access to some databases, including education databases. So I just always like to bring this to people's attention so that they know that scholarly resources are still there even after you're no longer connected with the U of I. Finally, I wanted to mention our Graduate Student Essentials workshop. This wrapped up this past fall here at the U of I, but we do have an online YouTube channel where you can actually check out these. And basically what this was a series of workshops on some skills that we feel are essential for graduate students. So if you click through here, you'll notice the Graduate Student Essentials courses. So you might want to check those out. They have lots of good information about how to use programs like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint to get more out of your research, doing library research in general, citation management, how to manage a scholarly presence, and so on and so forth. And with that, I'll wrap up. Thank you so much for your time and attention to this video. I hope it's been helpful to you. I also hope that you'll check out this presentation online at tinyurl.com uidaho distance. If you have any questions, please get in touch with me, Marco SV at uidaho.edu. Thank you.